If you've been on Roblox for quite some time, just scrolling through the pages, or either you're just a Marvel fan, you've probably seen these Iron Man type games. Well, since Marvel themselves couldn't make a proper standalone Iron Man game yet, there's been quite a few on Roblox for quite some time. And let me tell you, they're not actually deplorable. In fact, it's entirely the opposite actually. So let me introduce you to two great games, Iron Man Reimagined and Iron Man Simulator 2. They're practically the same game in perspective, but I'll just give them both their shoutouts. There's actually a lot of others as well that I'll be giving a few brief mentions to if I can. Anyway, the first traces I found of this type of game traces all the way back to 2018. To a game called Iron Man Simulator. There might have been others before this, but I don't know. Also, this was the first one I played all the way back then, and the one that you probably played first as well. Now, the quality for this game is pretty drastic when compared to the ones we have now, but it's still pretty impressive for something that came out at that time. This little demo would be a blueprint for many more of the same to come, because after this game, much more Iron Man games under the same idea and inspiration came to be. It's also thanks to some Roblox YouTubers playing it and giving it quite a bit of traction as well. But to be honest, most of these Iron Man games all kind of feel the same, with maybe just a little extra quirk to each game. It's really just about which game feels the most polished, which are the ones I've stated already. So anyway, let's talk about the premise in these games or what you do in them. And that would be to do anything you want, to be honest. You're Iron Man, so go ahead and be him. You suit up, fly around, attack other Iron Mans. That's kind of about it. Does it sound boring? I guess, but trust me, it's actually entertaining. Think of the web swinging around as Spider-Man, but flying around as Iron Man. It kind of gives almost around the same level of enjoyment and dopamine. These games are more like a sandbox rather than having some sort of objective, which is fine, to be honest. I think these games are meant to be test demos anyway, as the gameplay loop isn't really defined in any of these games. But that just adds to the replayability factor, as you could hop in, do whatever the hell you want, get your fill and get out. Sure, you might find things to eventually get boring or just discover nothing at all, but you'll have a good time playing it in the meanwhile. After all, what you do is really down to you. You can slaughter a family of Iron Babies or recreate that one event, it's really up to you. So let's get into why these games are cool, hot, and sexy. I'll mainly be talking about Iron Man Reimagined for this. So if you know your stuff, Iron Man just doesn't have a single suit. He's got a bunch. So what's prevalent in most of these games is your ability to choose whatever suit you want, at least the ones not locked behind a fat little paywall. All the cool looking suits are most of the time locked behind Robux, which, get the bag I guess. But each suit also has parts that come off separately, to which you can take off yourself, or you can get them blown off by other people. You could also recreate the scene in the original Avengers. Or at least try to. The variety in these suits are pretty massive, as they all look different from each other. You might just think of them to be reskins or recolors, but there's just much more to it than that. There's some suits that fly faster than others, some that have more powers, and some that let you go to space. Each suit having a different ability is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Amazed me back then and still amazes me to this day. Although there is no ability that makes you do but can't have everything. But yeah, it all truly makes you feel like Tony Stark. So while on the topic of being amazed, what amazed me again throughout these years are the text commands. I don't know why they make me giggle and touch my feet, but they do. I haven't seen many other Roblox games utilize the chat system for gameplay other than these Iron Man games, so that's kind of why. Anyway, these text commands are pretty self-explanatory. If you say self-destruct, then it self-destructs. If you say power on, then the suit powers on. There's not much depth I can go into for that. Even though these text commands could still be accessed by button commands, while also being faster at the same time, it's still pretty unique to have this in the game. Thank you, Jarvis. So by now, I think it's safe to say this game is a game. So let's talk about the gameplay mechanics, with flight being first, as it's definitely the most important thing by far. So I'm just going to be talking about a Reimagined for this. The flight system in this game is what I think to have the best flight mechanic system in the history of Iron Man games so far. Because for the most part, it's actually smooth, fairly simple to control, while not really being that wonky. I'd say it's only weird when you're trying to fly away mid-battle, or if you're going from point A to B in short distances, because it starts to get a little bit out of control and pretty unstable if so. The flight system usually falls short when you're near a type of cityscape, which is actually gonna be the entire damn map. Streets in my opinion are pretty narrow, and you gotta take a wide swing every time you turn the corner so you don't accidentally bump your fat ass head and get a concussion. So here's some obvious advice. Never fly that low of an altitude. Instead, just go to space and enter the Fanboy Cafe. There's also a boost mode on most, if not all, suits for extra mobility in the game, last time I checked, so that's neat. But alright, let's speak on another important matter for games like these, the combat. Now across all the other Iron Man games, I think the fighting is a pretty mixed bag all around. At its core, it's tolerable. In Reimagined, I actually like what they do with all the different weapons. You could toggle a little selection and align it with each of your repulsors. You had rockets, the usual blasts, or my personal favorite, The laser. Rockets break the armor, the blasters do damage, but the laser stops little iron monkeys from flying away. And also does other things, but I forgot. I just love the laser because it's the most annoying weapon used on others by far. You could just have it pointed at the other people and they probably wouldn't be able to escape. You know, unless they're actually smart enough to try to counter you. But the majority of people playing this game are below the age of 9. So that most likely wouldn't happen. You also got the fists of a goddamn Hulkbuster in this game, as they're the moves that surprisingly do the most damage in here. Well, not unless they're exposed, that is. The overall approach to this combat system does sound good on paper, but on execution, it's 9 times out of 10 going to be a bit weird and clunky, and not that satisfying. Until we fully break off all their armor, that is. That's really the only satisfying part of this combat, but you get the gist. Just don't treat these games like a sort of action game, because if you do, you'll probably be kind of disappointed. Just pretend you're Tony Stark, flying around, you know, carefree, and you'll be happy enough. So with that being said, that's kind of all I gotta say for these type of sandboxes. Even if these games don't really have the best gameplay, they all still have a soft and special place in my heart, considering some were the first games I played on the site. They're all pretty unique in their own way, and a few steps ahead of whatever Marvel has been doing to Iron Man. I just hope to see some great improvements in these games down the line, as they definitely have the potential to be some of the greatest games on Roblox in my opinion. I mean, they're still quite fun to this day, and even some of the models are still quite stunning and impressive. It's just that I gotta get back to real gaming.
I'm thinking me, I'm thinking me, I'm thinking me,
But yeah, thanks for watching. Also subscribe please, we're so close to 400. And sorry for this sort of filler video, I've been a bit out of it. There hasn't been much to talk about, and I'm currently in my content drought season. But happy belated New Year and Lunar New Year, and see ya fellows. Also, the boys' culture isn't dead. I'll bring it back. Okay, see ya fellows.